Yes.
Okay, it is 5 p.m. This is Councilor Psalms. I'm calling this regular meeting of the Town Council Finance Committee to order. Present are myself, Councilor Ingalls, Mayor Allen, Public Works Director Steve Maslin, Ledyard Housing Authority Director Colleen Lauer, Fire Marshal Jim Mann, Finance Director Marcia Hancock. And I suspect we'll probably have a few more people join shortly. That said, it's time to open the meeting up to citizens' comments. If anyone wishes to speak and be heard, now is the time. Please identify yourself. Here's Tom. So Councilor Tom Malone is also present.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, hey Tom. We just got started.
All righty.
Hearing no citizen comments, I don't believe I have any informational items. And I would accept a motion to review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, corrections?
No, they look good to me.
I'm all good with it.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And Councilor Psalm says aye. Motion carries. Meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. Marcia, Finance Director's report is up next.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I have nothing to report other than what we have to deal with on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. We have no old business, so I will move on to the first item under new business. If someone wants to make a motion.
I will make the motion. I make the motion to recommend to the town council to approve to transfer $19,000 from account 210-903-05-5819 undesignated to account 210-207-01-57300 new equipment to address floor covering materials at the Emergency Operations Center, EOC.
Thank you, Tom.
I think there's another part of it. Upon
Yep. Sorry.
from state nuclear safety emergency program, the 19,000 will be returned to the undesignated account.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Andre.
Quick correction on that, Bill.
Oh, yeah, Fred.
So it's not flooring. We did flooring when Russ Shaw was still the EMD. The attachment on the agenda is what it is, which is 4 computers, 2 server towers, rack servers. That's what this is. So if you look at on the agenda with the attachment, you'll see it actually is. I don't know why it showed up as flooring again, but I had inquired with Jim Mann about it, and he didn't know either.
Okay, so I'm looking through that right now, Mayor. So we're going to need to do a friendly amendment on this.
Yeah, can I just give an update as to what's going on with this project?
Well, we need to do a friendly amendment first, and I want to find the list that the mayor just read to us. I'm looking through the attachment. So, Fred, there looks like there are 3 pages here.
Yeah, I believe it's the second to last page is what shows the itemized $19,000 of expenses plus $6,000 of carryover.
Yep. Okay. So, Councilor Malone, if you would accept a friendly amendment, I'm going to change the wording on floor covering to 4 PCs, a sonic wall, 2 Power Edge rack servers, and contingency for small parts. Total is still $19,000. Would you accept that?
I would.
Okay. Thank you. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, like the mayor said, the floor covering was done under Russ. And then last year, when we got into the EOC, we noticed that it was woefully behind date. And I had the IT folks, MIS folks come down, and half the PCs don't even work. Our projector system shot. And I was able to secure 10 grand, if you remember last year, that we didn't know we had. And that's the one we did. And we got some equipment. But the original cost that the IT folks came up with was almost 25 grand, which we would not get. So with the 10 grand I got from the state last year, we were able to get some equipment. And what this will do is finish up the upgrade. And basically our EOC will be up to date, like big time, to the point where town department heads, should a disaster occur, could actually work out of the EOC and access town hall. It's actually going to be pretty nice when it's done. And this is 100% reimbursable. So the sooner we get it, the sooner we get it installed, the sooner we get paid back.
Excellent. Councilors, questions?
I have no questions.
No questions. It looks
Okay.
straightforward to me.
Yep. To me too, I'm happy when we get paid back at 100%. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Fire Marshal Mann. All in favor, please say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Councilor Malone votes aye.
As does Councilor Solms, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And now we'll move to item 2. I'll accept a motion.
Oh, we need a motion. Sorry. So this is are we making a
Oh, I'm
motion yet? It's
sorry.
discussion
No,
and
we don't.
possible action.
Yeah. No, we don't. So we got a letter from Ledyard Housing Authority Director Colleen Lauer, who is present with Mr. Doozy in the same office. And I have to say that the letter was extremely refreshing. It showed a tremendous amount of forethought. It presented a problem and 2 solutions. So Colleen, with that, I would like to turn it over to you if you would like to explain the situation and your proposal.
Thank you very much. This is very weird doing it like this, but I'm glad that we had the opportunity to kind of chat about it. So we've done a lot. I hope everybody had a chance to kind of look over the attachments. And we've done a lot this year, but there's so much more to do going forward. And unfortunately, money just isn't there. And I know it's not there everywhere. So we're hoping to strike up a deal if possible. I did talk to a couple of the other local housing authorities, and their pilot payments their percentages are much lower. 4% out in Preston and Stonington, 5% out in East Hampton and New London, and ours is at 10%, which is pretty high. We definitely cater here to the lower incomes, and our rents have shown that over the years, but we're working to increase that. We've got a lot of stuff that's in the hopper. We just completed our audit, so everything looks great on that front. We've not been able to put any money into the short-term investment fund, the stiff reserve account. And as far as I can tell, money hasn't gone into that account for many, many, many years. And we really need to be able to do that so that we can cover some of the big expenses that come up. The roofs, I looked, they were done in 2009. We need a lot of paving done. There's a lot of dangerous areas, sidewalks, and even some of the roadways that that we need to have addressed, and we don't have the money for it. So we were hoping if there's any way to either lower the percentage we pay, maybe make some quarterly payments versus a full huge payment in one shot. possible forgiveness of part of it, not that we wouldn't pay, that money would go to do something. So we have a wonderful opportunity. We partnered up with Lantern Electric and did the Eversource energy assist audit. And not only are we going to get over $7,800 worth of energy saving measures, the air sealing, lights, water measures that are going to help reduce the residents' utility costs out of pocket. They also told us about the refrigerator incentive, which is kind of a one-time deal. They have two parts to the incentive. So there's a total of over $12,000 that was available for us. And Bousquet's Appliance is willing to front the cost of all of it, which is even better. We don't have to come up with all of the money. We only have to come up with almost $4,000 that would cover for the refrigerators. So $710 refrigerators that we're getting for $133. In our list, I think I sent about a third of them are about 20 years old. So again, it'll help to reduce the cost, the out-of-pocket cost to the residents. So we do have a lot of, like I said, the paving stuff also that needs to be done. We did apply for an AARP grant, which apparently thousands of people applied for, and we were not a recipient of. We are still waiting to hear from the CDBG grant, and we're hoping for that. That will give us up to $1.5 million to do improvements in the units, help to make them more handicap accessible, walk-in shower, new windows, new doors, mini split heat and air conditioning units, which again will help to reduce the costs of utilities for the residents. So we're kind of open to anything. Any help that the town is able and willing to give, we have open hearts and would just be blessed to have any help along the way. So happy to take suggestions. We did have a couple of the other unexpected things that had come up. Our call to aid and fire panel, we definitely have some issues with that. So that was an extra $2,000 bill. And it's still not exactly perfect. It needs to be upgraded. But that's $25,000, I think, minimum. We had some plumbing issues, $1,500 for that. So everything, everybody knows it all adds up. So unfortunately, we just don't have the money to back it right now. So, kind of looking for a little help.
So you've stepped into a situation, Colleen, with after years and years of disinvestment. I will never forget the photographs of the vine growing in the shower.
I have seen those on the internet.
Pardon me?
I've seen those on the internet.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about what has been done with rental rates for the units?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first came in, so July of 2019, the base rents were $82 and $92. In August of 2019, the board raised those base rents to $112 and $122. They also raised the percentage from 27% to 30%. Each year, normally what they've done is every 2 years, sorry, I'm a hand talker. Every 2 years they reevaluate. We are actually going to reevaluate every year, so that it will help to bring those rental costs up each year versus every 2. In 2020, the board again raised the base rents, so they are now $137 and $147, and 30%, whichever is greater, and that's off of the grandfathered residents that were already living here. We did do rent stratification, and that came into effect in January of 2020. And we have $400, $500, and $600 base rent units. So we don't have a ton of turnover, but we do have 2 residents right now that are paying our $400 base rent. We are also in a peculiar situation. We did have a resident pass away in July, and unfortunately, we have not gotten rent for his unit for the last 2 months. We're going on 8 weeks now. The attorney is kind of holding us still. He didn't have any family. The executress of the will is another resident. He said, you have to go through probate. There's no money to pay the rent. And we don't really have the money to talk to an attorney. So I did reach out to another director, and she pointed me in the direction of someone who will help us. And hopefully they'll be able to kind of get things moving along for us. And so that's been a little bit of a hamper too. That particular resident was paying $575 a month. His reevaluated rent was about $654. So, we're down right now over $1,200. I'm sure I'm not going to get any rent for October because we don't have enough time at this point to pack up the unit and get it ready for a new resident either. So, it's that's a little disheartening.
So thank you for that. The reason I asked is the last time the council was asked to waive pilot fee, we were just asked to waive the pilot fee, and we were presented with all of the things that need to be fixed and repaired and paid for, basically all the expenses and the bills, and there was no plan whatsoever for years to adjust rents to keep up with the market. What I've heard from you is a plan for repairs, a plan for funding, and a plan for adjusting rates to more competitive rates so that you have some income. So kudos to you. And on top of all of that, you got a great deal on refrigerators. So
thank you. Yes, we
those are my
definitely did.
thoughts.
And our base rents, actually for the grandfather, those will go up 25 each year. So
Yeah. So Colleen has asked for either paying half of the pilot payment now and half in January, or better, her preference is to pay a portion of the pilot payment, $7,061.03, and use $3,979.28 to pay now for new refrigerators for the apartment, which sounds like an excellent proposal, in my opinion. So I'll turn to the other counselors and ask Tom and Andra for their thoughts.
Yeah. Colleen, thank you. I will never forget my very first meeting as a town councilor with this finance committee was a request for a waiver of the pilot payment from the Housing Authority. This was my baptism into the finance committee. And it quickly became evident as we just asked a few questions that all was not well in their fiscal house. So when I read your report last night, I clicked through all of the attachments. I just have to echo what Bill has said. Refreshing, totally refreshing that you have clearly put things in order. You are working on repair. It's just nice to see the whole thing coming together. So thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, 2 quick questions. One is what is the CDBG grant?
It's a small cities grant that is awarded to housing authorities, towns. So basically, the town actually had to apply for the grant, and then the money is allocated for housing or another purpose. So
What is the acronym?
Community Development Block Grant.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. You said something else that caught my attention about the percentage of pilot.
Yes.
So I need an education here. Who sets that percentage?
So the town set, I believe it's a compromise between the town and the housing authority. The Housing Authority of East Hampton, when I spoke with her, she said that they used to pay 10%, but several years ago, they came to agreement to lower it to 5%. I looked back through some of the old papers that I had here, and it looks like it's always been 10%. And so that money, that calculation comes from the income that comes in, and then you subtract out vacancies and utilities that we've paid. So we, for instance, pay the water utility and the electric for the community building, along with any empty apartments. So for instance, in last year's payment, the 18 to 19, and it goes July to June, they paid over $5,000 to the electric company. This year, we paid just under $4,000. We didn't leave the apartments that we had. We had 8 apartments open during the time period that I've been here. And we didn't leave them open for extended amounts of time. So we didn't have to cover those electric bills. So we're able to kind of bring those costs down a little bit. But it's from 2014-15, the pilot was 9,000, 15-16, almost 9,000, 16-17, 82-82, 17-18, it was 83-66. And then 18-19 was 93-91, and 19-20 is estimated for the $11,040. So the pilot definitely shifts depending on what's going on. And of course, our goal is not to leave the apartments open, so we don't want to cover any rents or loss of electricity. We want to get somebody back in there, which is what's so frustrating right now about this one that's open.
Right.
You know?
Right. So to me, that begs the question. I'll tell you where my caution is. I want to help you for sure. My caution is setting precedent.
Yeah.
So if we forgive a portion of the pilot, or, you know, are other entities going to come to us and ask? And of course, we know that it already is what it is. It's a pilot payment, so it's already a serious reduction. So that is honestly probably my biggest concern. But your question about the percentage makes me want to look more carefully at the other entities that are paying us pilot, what those percentages are. Does the town set those percentages? Mayor Marcia, maybe you can answer that. I think I would be, my inclination right now, and of course we need to keep discussing this, would be to take you up on the 50-50 offer. And in the meantime, study it and see if there's an adjustment that can be made before the next half of it would come due. I don't know what the other counselors think, but I want to hear more about how pilot is set and then reviewed.
Yeah.
I can agree with that a little bit.
Okay.
Andra, would you like me to share with you right now?
Sure.
Okay, so this document that I'm holding right here, you can see there, is from January 12th, 1983. This was a resolution from the town council when they established the senior housing, or the housing authority. Part of that situation was paragraph 2. It says the municipality will accept payments in lieu of taxes from the housing authority of the town of Ledyard at a rate of 10% of the net shelter rent per annum. So this was something that was established in January of 1983. I'm sure it could be reviewed. The fact that it says net rent is a little scary, actually, because you're probably netting next to nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
So
when all said and done, absolutely.
Right. So the fact that it's based on a net rent right now, when you're talking profit and loss, there's really no profit. So it would be interesting to see what that number would look like right now based on a net rent, annual rent. But anyway, that's where that comes from, Andrea. That was from 1983 with the establishment of the housing authority.
If I could just interject as well to Andra's question about other entities that we have pilot agreements with. I don't believe there are any. We have state mandated or pilot funds that we get from the state for other land, or mostly land, I guess, that they control the calculation for, and that we get the money directly from the state. I think this is the only one, Fred. I don't know if you can think of any others where the town and another entity came to their own agreement. I think this is the only one.
I can't think of anything else.
I see. Okay.
Our only other question is, it also kind of falls in line, is the pilot payment. I know we pay the pilot payment, but the town doesn't technically have anything to really do for us. So they come through, they plow the street like twice during a storm, and then that's kind of it. They've been super great since I came in, and they've done, they've given us some dirt. They've put in some ramps for us, which have been awesome. We had a resident who had a scooter and had to lift the scooter up to just get it into his house. So they've, in the past, I don't know all of what has been done, but since I came on, the town has actually been able to help us do several things, which has been great.
Nice. Well, those are my questions and my suggestion.
Yeah, a lower payment would be awesome. We won't say no to that.
Hi, this is Jim. Am I allowed to ask a quick question?
Hi, Jim. Fire.
Hi, I'm sorry. I had myself on mute. I was trying to call on Councilor Malone and wondering why he couldn't hear me. Tom, before Jim, do you have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. I would agree with Andra about the take you up on the 50-50 offer. I think that's equitable with regard to your ability to, pay and our ability to help you. Although, again, the same precaution and cautionary tale that she says is, well, who's going to be next in line with who wants a 50-50 deal? So there's some apprehension there. However, my real questions aren't really about that, more or less, and I don't remember if I read it in your brief. Do you have an idea over the last 3 years what your occupancy rating is?
Just off the top of my head, I do not. I know that this past year, with the exception of a month here, a month there, we were at full occupancy. Technically, right now, we also are at full occupancy. I'm just not getting paid for one apartment right now.
Well, then I'm talking about in real time, dollars and cents.
Oh, monetary.
Right. So if you were, let's say, and I'm just using this number, let's say you're supposed to be have an income of $10,000 a month from rents, and now you have $9,600 a month or $9,200 a month, then you would be at 92%.
Got it.
That's more in the kind of what I was looking for. And then my follow-up question would be, is there any tenants in arrears right now as far as their rents? And if so, what is your process for collecting any rents in arrears?
No, since I came on board, no one has paid their rent late, with the exception of this particular situation. So we've not had anybody that is in arrears. Previously, I can't speak to what they've done. What I did see was someone who had not paid. They took them to court. They won, but they never collected the money from the person. They just kind of let it go. So
That's before my time.
So there are cases where they get 100% forgiveness. However,
well, I guess it was, they just didn't bother. They went the steps to take them to court. They got the judgment that said, hey, you owe us this money, but then they never followed up to get the payments from the person.
So
and they just
legal,
let it go.
who represents you? Is it the town attorney, or do you have your own attorney, or is there no attorney?
Currently, there is no attorney. I was speaking with the Montville Housing Authority earlier today, and she suggested an attorney in Groton, who will actually, we're hoping for a pro bono, somebody who we could ask some questions with. And she actually said that this particular attorney will answer questions and only charges for his time if he needs to go to court or do documents. So I spoke with his paralegal earlier today, and hopefully they'll be able to help us out with this this situation that we have right now. Because I did ask to speak with a town attorney at one point. We had an unemployment claim. The maintenance person that had been let go filed for unemployment. But because we're not really town, we don't really fall under that to be able to talk to the town attorney.
And then finally, are you carrying a balance, or do you owe any money? When I say you, I'm talking about the authority, the housing authority, with regard to any utilities, vendors, contractors, construction companies, or, basically, what's your financial health?
No, we are completely paid up to date, except for the bills that are coming in. We have a couple of big doozies coming in. We just finished the audit, so that's going to be a $6,500 bill that they have not billed us for yet. But if you look at the P&L, like for instance, last month we were negative about $400, but we have the money in the bank because our that one rent didn't come in. If that had been paid, we would have, on paper, it would have looked fine. But none of our bills are late. None of our bills are being held up, and everything is current.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, you're on mute.
I got to stop doing that. Jim Mann, you had a question.
Yes, I'm not sure if this is the time or place, but in the list of items on your list, have you addressed the call for aid system yet? That's something that woefully needs repaired down there.
Yep, that was actually our $1,960 bill back and forth with Bonner Electric. They came out and it does, if a cord gets pulled, it goes straight to dispatch now. So it is fully functioning, but it definitely needs to be upgraded.
I agree. It's been patch up ever since I've been here. And, that's something pretty serious, because when the fire department gets there, if they don't know where it's coming from, they got to go knocking on doors, and it just doesn't work out well.
Right. Yeah. It runs to the building, so they know at least which building the lights are going off at. So, and it does go directly to dispatch now. So, but certainly an area that, if anybody knows where to get grant money to get us a new system, we would be happy to do the legwork. Tell me where to go.
So, counselors, the refrigerator and the precedent issues. I'm thinking if we're willing to look at adjusting the pilot payment rate, that in itself is a sort of a precedent. Perhaps we could do the refrigerator purchase as a one-time deal, with the understanding that we would address and discuss the 10% pilot rate. Also with the understanding there would be no more waivers of pilot if we did adjust it. Would that resolve some of your concerns?
Tom, you're muted.
Shucks. Okay, am I unmuted? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So I would be satisfied with something like that, but I would need probably some kind of a concrete promissory note with regard to this being a one-time deal. You know, and a memorandum of agreement, not to say that we couldn't have the conversation over and over again, but to just kind of make the understanding that, you know, we want you to get financially healthy, but it can't be continue to be, you know, off the town budget.
Yeah.
We could probably do that in the agreement on the adjustment. So if we say we're going to reduce the pilot rate, we could say, and we will not agree in the future to waivers. I mean, I'm not aware of past waivers. I do know that we had the same concern the last time about setting a precedent, but given that there are no other pilot agreements with town organizations and that now there's a plan and a path back to fiscal health, I'm less concerned about that personally.
Yeah, a percentage, I mean, a percentage reduction would be absolutely ideal. Then we would be able to start putting money into that STIF account. Our asset manager said some housing authorities have, you know, $500,000 in there. Like, we have $30,000
Yeah.
because nothing's been put into it for years. And what they did is they just kept taking money out to pay for
And
stuff.
that was our argument.
Yeah.
That our complaint was that, you know, you haven't set money aside, and the reason for not setting aside money was we haven't changed the rates, and the question was, why haven't you changed the rates? I mean, you have to have fiscal responsibility and prudence for the future.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Andre, you've been quiet. Your thoughts?
I'm just trying to run it in my head. I think
Okay.
the sticking point for me is satisfied, and that is if it's accurate that we don't have these agreements with other entities in the town, then I think I'm satisfied. I'm definitely satisfied that Colleen is gaining ground. I'm so encouraged by what I'm seeing. So encouraged.
I'm smiling. Thank you.
So, you know, just want to be really careful that we don't have unintended consequences from this. But it sounds fair to me.
Okay. Colleen, another question. I understand that refrigeration equipment is very hard to get. Did Bosquet say they can get you these refrigerators, or do they know?
Yep, they can definitely get them. I was emailing with him today. He's just asked when we wanted to get them in, and that he would front the money. And as long as we just signed our whatever paperwork needed to be done for the incentive to go directly to him. And he'll even take, so the plan is we've got a few that are decent. The one in our community room is actually original from 1986. So we have one that we just purchased in May that we'll put over here. And there are a few that might be sellable to make, you know, $50, maybe a nice garage refrigerator. And he's going to actually take away all of the old ones for us, so we don't have to worry about disposing of them.
Excellent. If you do find that there is a backlog or a back order, and you mentioned to them that you're running a housing authority, my experience has been that gets you some points in getting priority on equipment.
Okay, awesome.
Manufacturers will ship to you instead of elsewhere. So
terrific. Thank you.
Okay. So does anyone want to make a motion, or you want me to make a motion? I think we're all okay with option B, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will make a motion to recommend the town council waive a portion of the annual pilot payment of $7,061.03 in the amount of $3,979.28 to be used for the authority to pay for new refrigerators for all the apartment units and save on electricity for the residents and the organization going forward.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead. Melissa.
Just on the wording of that, shouldn't the first number be the total anticipated pilot payment and then reduced by the 3,000?
That was my intent. So the intent was that the pilot payment of $7,061 would be reduced by $3,979, which would be used to purchase refrigerators. Right?
I thought I heard Colleen say the full pilot payment was 11 something.
So if we stay at the 10%, it's 11,000.
I'm
But
sorry.
we'd be happy to jump down to 7. That's 77.28.
You did say so. Let me just rephrase that. To reduce the total pilot payment by $3,979.28, which will be used for refrigerators, and the payment for this year will be $7,061.03. Better?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Counselor Malone votes aye.
As does Councilor Solms. The motion passes. Colleen and Charlie, thank you very much for your work. What a difference.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will put in, I see Mr. Maslin on there. If you have any extra asphalt, we do have one area. We have 2 residents with walkers, and it really, really needs to be fixed. If you have any extra, please come knock on my door.
I'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the motion passes. Let's move on to item 3 if somebody wants to make that motion.
I make a motion to recommend the town council approve a supplemental appropriation of $5,000 to account 101-40111-58220 Police Station to cover unanticipated maintenance expenses for the HVAC system.
Counselor
Is there a
Malone.
second? Thank you, Tom. Steve, I think this one's all yours.
Yeah, I say unanticipated only because it's a budgeting thing, but it's entirely anticipated in light of the nightmare of a system we got saddled with over there. This is just an ongoing saga, and this is just the latest chapter. We're working with this company also to try to see if we can tweak the system some to deal with the chronic reliability issues. And it's more involved in this because it involves after hours issues for our crew, which we're handling in a flexible way as opposed to really as expensive as it could be if we went strictly by their contract. So there's still some issues I haven't even addressed here in this particular request that hopefully we'll be able to resolve settling with this particular company at this point, which seems to has become our go-to and most responsive company, most knowledgeable company in this realm.
So should we understand that as I'm taking, this is a more proactive maintenance by this other company? Is that correct?
Yes, it's more the twice a year preventative maintenance, which is more involved than what we've ever done before, beyond what we even can and have the capability to do in-house. It doesn't, of course, it's what typical preventive maintenance is. It goes in, does the basic things and covers that. But if it finds something more involved, then of course we have additional expenses to consider. May involve additional budget things depending on what it is. And I don't know where we're headed long term. Hopefully, I mean, I've received assurances from a rep company that these are involved systems. They're complex, but there's a point at which they can hopefully get this one to work fully the way it should. I mean, it's beyond, I don't know if we're gonna back up at some point and remove components, simplify things. This is just an overly complex system that we got saddled with. Very complicated. You know, more so than probably necessary, but it's what we have, what we're still trying to make work.
Okay.
And this year was particularly bad timing wise, very early in the budget year. And you know,
So, counselors, do you have questions?
I do not have any questions.
No.
Andrea? Roxanne, I think you have your hand up. Maybe not. This reminds me of the pain that the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant went through with complex systems and controls and vendors. And they ended up solving their problem by changing vendors. They went and hired somebody else, and that was, they got it running, they got it working, and I hope this is the solution.
yeah, I hope so too.
Yep. Okay. I'm trying to recall, I think this might have been the one that, do we need to say in here where the money is coming from, Marcia or Roxanne?
Well, if you approve the additional appropriation, it will either have to come from fund balance or from another account that's already budgeted.
Okay.
I would suggest, this is just a suggestion, that you approve an over expenditure, because we could probably cover it at the end of the year with end of year transfers.
Okay, so would that change the language from supplemental appropriation to approve an over expenditure?
Yes.
Okay. Andrea, you moved this, right?
I did.
Would you accept that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, other questions? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Counselor Malone votes aye.
Counselor Soms votes aye. The motion passes. Steve, thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Feel
you.
your pain.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good
Thanks
night,
for coming.
Steve.
Okay, next one. Item 4, we're not going to take any action on. We're coming up on 5:48. We have a meeting on this, so I'm going to move to the next item, which is item 6, if someone would like to make a motion.
Make a motion to recommend the town council approve FY 2020 year-end budget transfers in the amount of $811,901.29 and additional appropriations of $96,831.29 as detailed in the attached spreadsheet year-end transfers.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Okay, so you all have the spreadsheet. I would like to just hit the highlights, Marcia, while we have time. The pluses and minuses, or the parentheses, are always confusing. A couple of questions. One is, the Board of Ed surplus, is that really a surplus? I think we've been down this track before. Is it a surplus or a deficit?
It is a surplus it's a budgetary surplus from the Board of Ed budget. So overall, we had, overall on the revenue tab, we spent more than we took in revenues, in the amount of $253,734.64. And then the Board of Ed surplus is a budgetary surplus for them. So if that gets transferred over to their capital, it will be an additional 270,000 coming out of the general fund balance. So that's why it's there in red.
Oh.
To show you what the overall amount that the fund balance could be reduced by.
Got it.
Unaudited amount.
Yeah. So the town deficit, I think you mentioned a different number, but I'm taking here that the town deficit is 145,000.
The overall town deficit is 253,734.
Okay.
So it's actually the town deficit, the general government side is actually a 523,000 deficit because, or would it be double the 270,000? Yeah, so if we didn't have the Board of Ed budgetary surplus, it would be a bigger deficit.
Okay, what's the 145,000?
Where do you see that?
In the spreadsheet, you've got the revenue, expenses, and then deficit, and then Board of Ed surplus.
Oh, that is the, actually that is the, what I was just, I had sent out an updated spreadsheet this morning. Is that the one you're looking at?
No, I think I'm looking at the one that came out yesterday or the day before.
Okay, so yeah, actually the deficit is lower. Let me pull up the
Okay.
one. So the one I sent out this morning reduced the deficit by about 100,000 because we factored in the tax payments that were made in July and August. But that doesn't change the end of year transfers at all. So I didn't ask Roxanne to repost that.
Okay. No, actually, the one I'm looking at is what you sent out this morning.
Okay, that's where the 145,000 is. Yes, so the overall deficit is 145, and then the adding, once we do the transfer for Board of Ed, it'll be an additional 270,000.
So Marcia, help me with the tax payments that came in July and August. Wouldn't they be for this fiscal year? Not closing
So
up?
what happens is the cash that comes in July and August is recognized in the current fiscal year, but then we have to do what's called a 60-day collection calculation. So anything that was paid in July and August but was paid for taxes that were due last year are factored into last year's revenues.
Oh my
So we
word.
get credit for it in last year's revenues, even though the revenue didn't come in until July and August. Yeah, it's another one of those things that auditors do.
So I'm still totally lost because I see revenue of 60 million. I see expenses of 60 million. The difference in those two figures is 145,000. I see a BOE surplus of 270, a fund balance of 415. What's
the 415?
253. 415 is the sum of those two, but where does 253,000 come from?
That was the original deficit before we factored in the 60-day collection.
Oh, okay. So it was 253. Now it's 145. Okay, got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry that's so confusing.
Yeah. Okay.
Crazy.
It always is. Thank you for the education again. Okay, counselors, questions?
I asked mine.
I'm all set.
What's the matter, Audra?
This next week.
It just baffles me.
How complicated they make it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel your pain.
You guys are going to help me explain next Wednesday because I'm going to forget all this.
Mm.
No, you're not.
I would recommend not including the original. Roxanne, don't include the original spreadsheet. Do the one that I sent out this morning.
Yeah, just the most up-to-date numbers.
Okay. You guys ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Counselor Malone votes aye.
As does Councilor Song, the motion passes. Thank you very much. We don't have any tax refunds. I think we've covered everything. Yes, we have. Okay, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 5:55. Thank you very much. See you in 5 minutes.
6:30, right?
No, 6 o'clock. 6:30 is community relations.
Oh, wait, what's at 6?
6 o'clock
Oh,
is
you were
finance.
away. Yeah. So
Finance
we're
land
having a
use.
joint.
Good.
Go ahead, Fred.
I see.
All right, we have a joint meeting between finance